Through the Third Eye. Book 1 of the Third Eye Trilogy. Preface. This is a work of fiction and is the first of 3 books in the Third Eye Trilogy. It is important to read the books in sequence so you do not miss important events and background on the characters and the plots that carry forward. Even though fiction, depending upon personal beliefs, the topic of reincarnation and past life regression may be a gray area between reality and science fiction. Through the experience of hypnotic regressions, the novel deals head-on with many sensitive and potentially controversial subjects. Some readers may have to move to the pure sci-fi side to fully enjoy the adventure. Introduction to Through the Third Eye, Book 1. In this first book of the Third Eye Trilogy, 𝐂𝐿 and Shali exploit classified CIA past life regression protocols to become literal treasure hunters. They roam across the world to find their subjects and guide the sessions back through history. They coax out and track down hidden treasures and secrets from long ago. The subjects will remember nothing, so the rewards are all theirs for the keeping. They heard whispers from their subjects about hidden writings that are the proverbial secrets of the universe. 𝐂𝐿 and Shali are continuously confronted by an unidentifiable nemesis intent on stopping them at all costs. Despite being aided by benevolent allies, they are repeatedly and aggressively blocked by this enemy from retrieving the secrets. This book introduces the concept of soul pods, groups, families, or mates, often found by hypnotherapists and psychologists. The first book poses an interesting question. What if many historically significant political, religious, and scientific figures were incarnations of just a few souls who were members of the same soul group? Possible or not? A relevant historical quotation from Carl Sagan, American astronomer and science communicator.
Personally, I would be delighted if there were a life after death, especially if it permitted me to continue to learn about this world and others, if it gave me a chance to discover how history turns out.
Chapter 1. The First Encounter. Amman, Jordan. Shali pulled back her long black hair, revealing her smooth golden-brown Indian complexion. She glanced over at the out-of-place, middle-aged American man strolling beside her.
Do you think we'll get the right 𝐂𝐿 today?
𝐂𝐿 responded.
I don't know. We've done Iqbal al-Subari and Iqbal al-Sawari, but neither were the right target. They had the wrong name, wrong incarnation, wrong soul. It sure would be nice to get more precise information on our subjects, but no such luck this time.
We obviously didn't get an accurate family name for our 𝐂𝐿 from the regression of the woman in Jakarta. She had that lisp which threw off my transcription of the name. I've heard you say 100 times that we are bound by the body through which they see the world. So this time we were limited by her impaired pronunciation of a name.
𝐂𝐿 and Shali continued walking down the busy main street in Amman, toward their rustic hotel in the old section of town. The early morning air was crisp and pungent with the sharp smell of cooking spices and fried breads. Having just finished breakfast at a side street cafe, they were returning to set up the hotel suite for the morning's past life regression session. 𝐂𝐿 said,
If today's Iqbal isn't the right one, we've got 3 more Iqbal al-Subari Sawari Suharis in their mid-20s to go through. But today, I feel positive.
The problem with today's 𝐂𝐿 is that he is only giving us 1 session. We've got 3 days of regression work to cram into 1 day, so we will have a problem if he is the right guy.
We'll just have to move fast.
𝐂𝐿 quickly added.
You've got to keep us on track.
Or we pay him more to get another day of regressions.
I'll triple his fee if he is the one we're looking for.
If we find those secret treasures you believe exist, then money shouldn't be a problem.
𝐂𝐿 hesitated for a moment as they walked into the hotel lobby. He looked at Shali and said,
But you know it's not about money. I already made my millions doing this regression stuff. I could make many millions more. But I'm just after those secrets. I want them for what they are, or might be, not for some monetary value. But at this point, we don't even know what they are exactly, and we certainly don't know what they are worth. If the secrets really are some kind of advanced knowledge, we need to bring them out to better this world we live in. It could sure use some help.
Shali nodded her head in acknowledgement as they walked up the stairs to the second-floor hall that led to their suite. With Clay behind her, she unlocked the door to the suite. Suddenly, there was a crashing sound in the room. As she pushed open the door, they saw a man dressed in local Arab garb dashing across the dimly lit room. Realizing they were being robbed, Clay pushed Shali aside and darted towards the dark figure. He tackled the thief mid-waist, several feet from the open balcony door where the man had been attempting to make his escape. The two tumbled and rolled across the floor, slugging and beating each other like grade school bullies. Shali flicked on the lights and screamed down the hallway for help, using several Middle Eastern languages. Clay was on top of the perpetrator, swinging as hard as he could at his opponent's face. His years of training in the army helped him gain the edge, but that training was not able to stop the knee that sharply jabbed into his crotch. He let out a loud yelp and leapt almost straight into the air, before buckling and falling on top of the man. Shali grabbed a metal floor lamp and slashed it across the thief's shoulder as he pushed out from under Clay. The bloodied thief let out his own yelp and scrambled on his knees towards the open balcony, with Shali swinging the lamp in close pursuit. He turned back to Shali and yelled out in a Middle Eastern tongue. Clay moaned and tried to get back on his feet as the thief and Shali remained at a standoff. She stood firm with a wildly swinging floor lamp, while the perpetrator stood on the edge of the balcony lecturing her, as if the entire episode was her fault. The thief suddenly turned and vaulted over the balcony onto the hood of a parked car below. As the car's alarm blared with ear-piercing beeps, Shali dropped the lamp and pulled Clay back to his feet. Both ran to the edge of the balcony and watched with adrenaline-pumped tremors as the thief ran off down the street, still looking back to yell his chastisements. In less than a minute, the hotel's security guards and manager ran into their suite, expressing concern and promising action. Clay and Shali surveyed their equipment and materials, but found nothing missing. Clay discussed the matter with the hotel manager, and they agreed not to involve the local authorities at this time. That would only complicate their stay. However, the manager agreed to post two 24-hour security guards, one in the street below and one in the hallway outside their room, for the remainder of their stay. While they were speaking, two maids arrived to clean up the broken lamp, tables, and glasses. Shali and Clay freshened up in their own rooms and then met back at the suite. After pouring a cup of sweet spiced tea for each of them, Clay said,
"Our 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒 shows up in 30 minutes. Considering what just happened, should we be doing this regression today?"
If you are okay, then I think we'll be alright. We are only going to get one shot at this 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒, and he has already taken the day off of work. We can't risk losing him, so let's just do it.
Clay sat for a moment sipping his tea, and finally said,
"Fortunately, we must have walked in on this thief shortly after he got into the room. He didn't have a chance to take anything."
She gave Clay a look of contemplation.
I don't think he was here to steal anything.
"What do you mean? He was going to rob us."
I don't think so. I think he just wanted to know what we were up to.
Looking puzzled, Clay asked,
"How do you know? What was he yelling at you?"
Shali took a deep breath.
It was confusing. He was yelling in Hebrew, but he had a heavy Palestinian or maybe an ethnic Jordanian accent. I couldn't tell for sure.
"But did you catch what he was saying?"
She seemed solemn.
He said something like, "You don't know what you are doing, or you don't know who you are dealing with. You are asking for trouble." Or something like that.
So if this guy wasn't a thief, why would he care what we are doing? Or did someone else send him here?
Looking through the corner of her eyes, Shali replied in a joking and perhaps facetious tone,
I couldn't get the guy on the couch for a hypnosis session, so I have no idea what was going on in his head.
Clay blushed and smirked at himself.
Fair enough.
Her face mutated to a teasing smirk. She nodded her head at Clay's crotch, which had been battered during the scuffle.
How you doing? Yeah, no. Down there. Hey. You took a pretty hard hit.
Clay snorted.
It'll be all right, after a little physical therapy. Maybe you can help out.
Shali giggled lightly and replied.
It ain't gonna happen, Charlie. Not by me. You know what happened last time. I'll call room service for a bag of ice. That ought to cool you down.
The two laughed at the joint jabs, remembering how history had played out between them. They turned back to the business of preparing for the regression session. A large, full reclining chaise lounge chair sat in the center of their regression suite. On one side was a chair and small table, and on the opposite side was a table with a computer equipment setup akin to a small TV studio. Shali turned on the equipment on the table, while Clay turned on another computer in the adjoining room. He called out from the far room.
He's supposed to be here at 8:30, so we don't have much time.
We'll be fine if we don't hit any snags. You ready to test the audio?
Give me a minute.
On the table next to the computer in the main room was a large, shielded microphone box with a baseball-sized hole in the front. The contraptions were designed to protect against high levels of electromagnetic radiation that could be emitted during a regression. The heavy microphone box was lined with sheets of lead and copper grounding mesh. Recessed inside the opening was a high-quality directional microphone. As long as they kept the hole pointed at their subject, the whole session would be recorded on the computer in the next room. Shali checked the 30-foot cables that ran from one room to the other. When she got to his room, she said,
It's such a pain to haul these heavy-ass cables every place we go around the world.
Clay laughed.
Heavy-assed cables.
Sorry. Blame my stepdad, you know. Talk like a sailor.
Clay thought back to her descriptions of her stepfather, the Portuguese ship captain. He still pictured Shali as being culturally constrained, despite knowing that her Indian mother from New Delhi rebelled after the premature death of Shali's very conservative Hindu father.
So, do we really need all this stuff? We haven't had any problems in the last 2 years.
I'm not sure if all the precautions are necessary, but they are part of the protocol and help protect against high levels of electromagnetic radiation. The specs for the PLR protocols are very specific. Anyway, I've never had a failed recording in over 5 years of regressions, so those scientists must have known something.
So when are we going to get some interesting lives? So many past lives seem so boring.
Now come on. Once in a while, we get some interesting characters. I've verified a lot of actual previous lives, but I never got any really famous people.
He continued, tinkering with the equipment.
So, what's this particular Iqbal's background again?
He's a 23-year-old Palestinian, a junior accountant at a construction company and a recent finance graduate from Al Alia Aman University. There's nothing significant or different about him. He's just an ordinary young buck with aspirations for a fruitful and productive life. Did you see him trying to hit on me when we interviewed him last week?
Clay snickered.
Yes. And you're what, 10, or is it 15 years his senior?
Hey, can't a girl have a little privacy or maybe even an ego boost in her personal life?
We're paying him more Jordanian dinars for an 8-hour session than he makes in 2 weeks at his bean counting job. He needs to focus on what we hired him to do, not hit on a fine-looking Indian babe trying to regress him.
Shali gave him a smile of gratitude for the jealousy-laced compliment.
No. Today, our Iqbal needs to relax and go for a hypnotic ride back into his soul's history. Maybe he'll get to see that hot cave lady from 20,000 years ago. He could knock her in the head with a club and drag her back to his cave.
Maybe he was the cave lady, and she got dragged into the cave.
Shali fired back with a grin.
He won't remember a damn thing when it's over, anyway. Have you ever used those protocols where subjects can actually remember their past lives?
Ever since Shali had worked with him, he had used PLR Protocol 75, which kept the subjects from remembering anything about the secrets, should they find them. This was a precaution, because if the subjects remembered, they might join the race to find the hidden treasures.
A few times, but any head shrink can do that with hypnosis. I'm not really interested in all that anyway. I'm looking for specific things. If they want to remember their boring past lives, they should be paying me, not me paying them.
But the subjects could never track down the soul pods or soulmates on their own.
Maybe. Being in the same soul pod, they seem to know where other mates are at any point in time and space. The challenge is to coax out details before the souls or their guides get suspicious about what we're up to. Otherwise, they clam up. The guides are protective of those souls in their trust, and don't often reveal where other souls may be incarnated. If a shrink can do that, or if the person gets good at regressing themselves, it's possible to identify their soul pod.
I've never had any bad regressions since we've been working together. Have you ever seen any bad ones in the years before that? You know, blowouts during or after a session?
Nah, not really.
Clay looked back at her and said,
The secret government studies say that attempts to access or confront previous lives could have emotional or psychological effects, but it is usually beneficial. It's basically the same as what shrinks do when they try to fix people's problems with hypnosis. But PLR Protocol 75 shields them from any knowledge of their previous lives anyway.
Ok. I'm ready to test the headphones.
Clay turned some dials and clicked the keyboard.
Are you getting it?
Shali pulled back her long, silky black hair and lifted the headphones to her right ear.
Good.
She could hear the sound generator pumping low throbbing alpha wave frequency pulses to her brain. The pulses helped to drive brain waves down to a low frequency where regressions were optimized. Shali lifted the futuristic-looking goggles to her eyes.
Give me a check on the goggles.
Clay clicked more buttons, and purplish colors flashed rapid sequences in sync with the headphone alpha waves. She picked up a small, flexible skull cap with its attached electrodes and set it on the back of the chair, waiting for their regression subject. The cap would send magnetic pulses to the right and left sides of the brain at different times during the regression to help manage the subconscious mind. Shali knew PLR was heavily influenced by sensory control over the mind. She recalled Clay's jest that they should also have a smell gadget in case someone wanted hot buttered popcorn during their regression. Shali then laid out a set of EKG-like skin pulse pads with dangling electrodes. The micro-pulse generator was a key component to the protocol. The pads sent micro-frequency pulses to shock several critical points on the body at various times. The pulses were not automatic, but act more like a cattle prod when they wanted to stimulate the subject's soul to respond. Shali put a pair of the pads on the large shoulder muscles on either side of her neck.
I'm ready for the first pad test. Hit the shoulders.
Clay pressed some buttons. Her neck and shoulders twisted in slight convulsion.
Phew. Good.
The shoulder pulses were used to slap the soul around to get their attention. She put another pair of pads on her forearms.
Hit the foot pads.
When Clay pressed more buttons, her arms jerked back against her body. These pads were placed on the balls of the feet under a pair of wool socks. The foot pads stimulated the subject into progressing forward through the regression if they hesitated. Shali picked up the fifth, smaller single micro-pulse pad and moved it toward her forehead. She paused, then moved the pad to her forearm.
Hit the third eye.
Clay pressed a button. Shali's arm jerked and she let out a small yelp.
Phew. A little too hot.
Clay made an adjustment and tried again.
Oh, perfect. We should be ready.
She looked over to Clay and raised her eyebrows in inquiry.
I know it seems to work, but do you really think the third eye pulse makes a difference? And don't bull me. I was raised a Hindu, you know. My mom still wears her dot on the third eye.
At first, I had trouble accepting this third eye aspect of the protocol. Yeah, I knew of its spiritual significance in Hindu, Buddhist, and Kabbalah traditions, and even in yoga, qigong, karate, meditation, and martial arts, but I still couldn't see its value. Then I read translations of some 700-year-old Rosicrucian documents. That's when I saw a physiological connection between the third eye and the pituitary and pineal glands. By stimulating the third eye with the pulses, I suspect the human body is induced to a higher state of focus through an injection of natural chemicals into the nervous system. I don't really understand it, but the scientists who developed it were a lot smarter than I am.
I must have watched hundreds of past life regression videos online. Every once in a while I'd see the PLR hypnotist lean over and push the subject's forehead when they wanted the subject to focus or dig deeper.
You got it. Pop the third eye. That's all we're doing.
A few minutes later, their 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒 knocked on the hotel suite door. After introductions and a 10-minute orientation in Arabic by Shali, they got him settled in the lounge chair. She then wired up the goggles, earphones, and micro-pulse pads. Clay positioned himself 5 feet from the young accountant and began pressing buttons on a laptop control panel. The colored bars, lights, and digital readouts flickered on and off in scanning, pulsing sequences. Shali sat 3 feet to the side of the young subject, waiting for Clay's cue. Because the PLR sessions were conducted all over the globe, her prodigal fluency in 7 languages proved invaluable. Shali glanced at Clay and nodded.
Everything is in place. He seems comfortable and says he is ready to go.
Let's start him about 2,000 years ago.
Clay threw a switch and the control panel light labeled record turned red.
Test 1. 2.
Strong signal readings displayed on the control panel sound meters. Bar graphs and meters on the laptop computer recording system in the next room pulsed alive with every spoken word.
This is Clay Barton. It is 8:52 a.m. in Amman, Jordan, on the 2nd of February. The subject for this past life regression is 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒, subject KC8273VD5532. Suspected soul is ID number SE495433. I am assisted by Shali Faisal as session facilitator and translator. The objective of the session is hypnosis and regression of the subject to previous lives. This will be followed by attempted transition to the life between lives realm for interaction with the soul. Because the subject has only agreed to one regression session, we will attempt direct interaction with the subject's soul, guide, or other elder souls in the LBL of today's session. Subject is cooperative and understands the possible consequences of participating in this regression. PLR Protocol 75 is being used as pre-regression hypnotic examination using PLR Protocol 14 revealed easy adaptation to Protocol 75. There are no indications that the subject will experience adverse or lingering side effects from the regression.
Clay started up a sequence of computerized processes on his console. He monitored feedback meters on the control panel as the computer in the next room pumped out digital signals to the various gadgets wired up to the young Jordanian. The alpha sounds, video flashes, and micro-pulse generator made different parts of 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒's body twitch in planned sequences as the computer ran through its initial preparations. Several minutes later, the meters showed that 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒 had reached a proper state of readiness. Clay nodded to Shali to begin the first hypnotic script. She spoke to 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒 in Arabic, using a script from a tablet computer on her lap. Each section of the script was carefully categorized and indexed with a letter-number system. Shali's hypnotic directions to 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒 were slow and monotone, with several second pauses between each statement.
Iqbal, you are feeling very relaxed and comfortable. Relax your entire body, one part at a time as I direct you. Start at the top of your head. You can sense your hair, every strand of hair. Your hair is completely relaxed and now you feel a tingling sensation in your scalp. The skin on top of your entire head is tingling with relaxation. Experience and enjoy the wonderful sensation as your head relaxes and releases all stress and tension.
Shali paused 5 seconds.
Your forehead is now completely relaxed. Relax those wrinkles on your forehead and make the skin lay flat. The wrinkles are disappearing as you relax. The wrinkles on your forehead are now gone. You feel a slow rush of warmth and a tingling sensation flowing down the side of your head, across your temple, slowly down across your ears like a warm flowing liquid, relaxing your every muscle, relieving you of every concern in the world. You have no worries, no problems, no feelings, no emotions, simply total relaxation.
Clay noticed 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒 sink back deep in the lounge chair, his head turning slightly to the left. His neck twisted a bit to the right, and then to the left, as he experienced sensations he had probably never experienced before. He entered a deep level of hypnotic trance. Clay reviewed the monitors, dials, and digital readouts. Having done regressions for 5 years, he could tell 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒 was a good subject. He nodded to Shali to proceed. Shali continued with more than 5 minutes of standard hypnotic techniques, pushing 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒 deeper and deeper into the trance. Clay finally looked up from the meters and gauges and made a slight slicing motion with his hand. 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒 was deep enough. If Shali continued, he could fall into a deep sleep, and then the session would be over. Clay made small adjustments to the intensity of the stimulation points and monitored the feedback on the meters. He grinned in silence as the protocol sequence shot small electronic shocks into 𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒's body parts, causing them to twitch. He motioned for Shali to move forward to the next set of scripts. She continued the regression in Arabic.
𝐂𝐇𝐈𝐒, you will remember nothing from this session. During the session, you will feel no pain despite anything terrible you may see, hear or experience. You will remember nothing. You will not be physically or mentally hurt or injured during this session. Do you understand this?
He mumbled in Arabic.
Yes.
After the session, you will remember nothing that was said or experienced during the session. Nothing. Do you understand?
Yes.
Clay watched the feeds anxiously. Within a few hours, they should know if this was the target he had been seeking for the last several years. End of Chapter 1.